Everyone, and welcome to another of our bite-sized recordings. I'm joined today with Catherine, Sue, Joe and Sam from Surrey County Council, who are going to be talking to us about the application aspect of EHCP processes. So what I'll do in the first instance, if I can just get everybody to introduce themselves. So Catherine, did you want to introduce yourself first?
Hi Leanne, thanks very much. Yeah, I'm Catherine Everett. I'm the Education and Inclusion Service Manager in the northeast of Surrey.
Brilliant, thank you. And Joe?
Hi there Leanne, nice to see you all again. My name's Jo McSherry. I'm the Education and Inclusion Service Manager, but I work in the southwest.
Brilliant, thank you. And Sue?
Hi Leanne, I'm Sue Petrie. I am in the ELSPAR team as Senior Administrator.
Brilliant, thank you. And Sam?
Hi Leanne, hi, I'm Sam French and I also work in the ELSPAR team, but I'm one of the triage officers.
Brilliant, thank you so much. So what we're going to do is we've had lots of questions come in from families. So we're just going to go through the questions, and I know all of you have got different expertise in different areas, and you're going to answer them as we go through. So let's get started. So the first question that we have is, at what point should a child qualify for an EHCP, and what should happen prior to this?
So I think I'm going to take this one, please, Leanne. So I think the vast majority of children, it needs to be said, with SEND will not need an EHCP, as they can access a wide range of support to meet their needs. But to confirm the process, it wouldn't be for a child to qualify or be eligible for an EHCP. It's about whether an EHCP is necessary for the needs of the child to be met. So this is determined always on an individual basis. So the Code of Practice uses a social model of SEN rather than a within child model. So we look at the child's needs within an education setting or context. That being said, the needs for an EHCP come into play when a child's needs exceed those as supported through SEN support within the school. So prior to needing an EHCP, the child should be able to access interventions provided by the school that will be detailed in the school's SEN report, and they're always available on the school's website. So if a school has ongoing concerns, they need to start an assess, plan, do, review cycle. We're going to investigate that a little bit further later. And in most scenarios, if there are 3 rounds of assess, plan, do, review, if they're not making the expected progress, then the school or family may make an application for an assessment. However, the process that schools generally follow is called the graduated response, and we do have some graphics and some other details that we can give on that, but those will be provided with notes associated with this recording. I think the final thing to be said is that in all cases, schools should seek to engage appropriate support for the child at the earliest opportunity. And in Surrey, we work with schools and families to produce a guide as to what's ordinarily available. And that's due to be launched in the summer term of 2022. So we're all very excited about that and hope that that will answer a lot of questions. Sorry, it was a bit of a long answer, but I think it was important to sort of cover all of the elements.
Brilliant, thank you, Catherine. And I have to say, I'm really excited about the ordinarily available as well.
It's been really well co-produced, hasn't it? It's been lovely.
Yeah, it's been absolutely brilliant. So we're looking forward to that. And as Catherine said, there are some graphics and things to go alongside that, which we will add into there, which you'll be able to access. Thank you, Catherine. So the second question that we've got is, so what do you do as a parent if the school is saying an EHCP is not needed, but you feel that they are not progressing and or getting enough support?
So shall I take that?
Yeah, brilliant.
So whilst parents and carers are able to submit an EHC request without the agreement from the school, we would recommend that they discuss it with the SENCO in the first instance. It's also possible to approach the SEND Advice Service for impartial advice and guidance to support what parents and carers might want to ask of your SENCO. But it's important to find out what support is being provided, and therefore, can all the support be put in place without an EHCP? Surrey Local Authority has support for parents element to its learners single point of access, and you can contact us at the ELSPAR through the parent helpline. So the professionals who make up the multidisciplinary team in the ELSPAR include educational psychologists, speech and language therapists and social worker, and they can offer practical support and advice and guidance for individual circumstances. So you can just give them a call and talk through what's going on in school for your child. There's a dedicated support line for the EP service as well, which can be contacted via the business support teams in each area for bookable consultations. Other services that schools can request are the Surrey Specialist Teachers Service, or STIPS, that we tend to call it, or support from inclusion if attendance is becoming a concern.
Brilliant, thank you. There's lots there for parents to be able to access, so that's really helpful. Thank you, and we'll absolutely pop that phone number in the comments on the video. Thank you, Sam. Another question that we get that comes up quite a lot of Family Voice is when schools often talk about doing 3 cycles of assess, plan, do before applying for an EHCP. So why is it if it is clear that the school cannot meet a child's needs with the level of support they're receiving? So why does that happen?
Thanks, Leanne, I'll pick that one up if it's okay.
Brilliant.
I know that Catherine actually touched on this a little bit earlier on in the recording that we have today. So in addition to that, I'd just like to sort of enhance what Catherine's already said there. We do recognise that for a small number of children, their special educational needs may be evident from a very young age. And for some children, that can actually be from birth. And as a result, we have a range of support pathways for early years that allow us to provide that right support from the earliest stage without us actually needing to have an EHCP in place, because we recognise that is actually, it's a 20-week process, and 20 weeks can be quite a long time. So for other children, delays in learning emerge at a later stage. And the assess, plan, do, review process ensures that intervention can be put in place as soon as it's recognised that additional or special need is there for that child or young person. Many children will make expected progress with the right understanding and intervention, and that won't require that additional support to be delivered through a statutory plan. So what I'm really saying there is that if the school introduces that assess, plan, do, review, it may not need the plan, and that will allow this to be introduced earlier. The process does ensure, therefore, that the children get the help when they need it, and that those who do require a plan move through those assess, plan, do, review stages at appropriate times. And as earlier on, we did have a graphic that shows that the process in place will ensure that the school can best meet the needs of the child at the soonest opportunity. And the need for the number of rounds of assess, plan, do, review is related to the impact of each of the interventions, which will allow the child some processing time to see what's actually worked well for them. And there are some aspects of legislation that it would be too complicated for me to run through that as part of the recording, but I think we could make that available to the listeners so that they have those links to the code of practice for reference. Leanne, if that's okay, please.
Absolutely, yeah, no, absolutely, and thank you. That was really helpful, because I know sometimes I guess it can be quite confusing as a parent with the different things that they hear. So that was really useful to have that explanation. Thank you. And then it's sort of moving on from that, I guess, is another thing that parents often come to us quite confused with is they say schools often say that they have to prove that they have spent over £6,000 on a child before they can apply for an EHCP. Why is this when there is nothing in the code of practice that says that?
Okay, I think I'm going to pick up that one then, Leanne, thank you. So when a child's identified by the school as having additional needs, the first step the school needs to take is to register them for SEN support. Schools receive a notional budget for children registered on this support register, and this relates to approximately £6,000 of funding. It should be used in the first instance and immediately to support the child with needs at the earliest opportunity. So this is part of the graduated response that we discussed earlier and can be tailored to personal interventions. And that's why that amount of money is often discussed. So it's available without an EHCP, and 11% of pupils in Surrey schools are supported by SEN support. So it's quite a high number. And this is in contrast with about 3.9% of pupils supported by an EHCP. So you can see that needs are met with this resource, and it allows support to be in place while that assess, plan, do, review process is in place.
Brilliant, thank you. No, that makes a lot more sense to me actually. So thank you. That's really useful. And then again, another question that comes up, and I think there's quite a lot of confusion around this historically with families, is so the code of practice obviously states that there are 2 tests that should be applied when the decision is made as to whether or not to assess a child for an or young person for an EHCP. So part 1 of the test is that the child or young person has or may have special educational needs, and part 2 of the test is that it may be necessary for special educational provision to be made for the child or young person through the issuing of an EHCP plan. So in light of this, why is it that so many requests are turned down and then agreed to once a parent appeals? It's a very long question, sorry.
Shall I take that question, Leanne?
Yes, please, that would be great.
So this draws us into the legal test questions. And in many cases, a child need would not necessarily require support over and above what can be delivered by the school through their SEN support. So in the Code of Practice, it refers to the SEN and Disability Code of Practice, which is statutory guidance issued by the government and contains further detail in what the LA should consider. At paragraph 9.14, the code states that the local authority should consider whether there is evidence that despite the early years provider, school or post-16 institution having taken relevant and purposeful action to identify, assess and meet the special educational needs of the child or young person, the child or young person has not made expected progress. So in deciding whether to assess, we would look at how the educational attainment is affected. Intervention at all levels would be relative to the needs of the child, and we would always look to ensure that the child is as independent as they can be with the support provided, either with or without an EHCP.
Brilliant. Yeah, thank you so much. That's really, really useful. So that brings us to the end of this little video. We will be, obviously, as you've probably seen, there's a series of videos going on. So we hope this has been really useful for you. But any questions arising from, that's come up from this video, please do let us know. And thank you for listening, and thank you so much to Catherine, Sue, Jo and Sam for joining me today. It's been really, really useful. Thank you.
Thank you, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you all. Bye.